I thought they said the treasure of King Hole.
From Climax Entertainment. Hey, you lost your guy. Come on. My turn.
Fine. Oh, wait. We're supposed to be doing something.
Hey.
Hey. Welcome to the Rambling Dave.
Man, don't stop
Just
yet. I'm
fucking
doing
pause
the
it.
knock.
Pause it.
Ah, fine. Why do you get to...
Phil. Right?
Yeah.
We're live.
Doing it live. Hey, welcome to the Rambling Knave. I'm Brandon.
And I'm upset.
And I'm Noah.
Oh, this week on the Rambling Knave, Sega.
We're going to be talking about the top 7, well, our favorite top 7 Sega games ahead of the September release of the Sega Genesis Mini Classic, following in the footsteps of, the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. Sega's doing their own. So we thought this was a good time to revisit another part of our childhood.
Yeah. So as Noah said, we're doing our top 7, but with one caveat, they could not have ever been ported to the SNES. I mean, other systems later, whatever, but it was in the middle of the console wars, so we need to be Sega purists.
Yeah.
These games, which means, we
No
couldn't-
NBA Jam,
Yeah.
which is just awful.
Yeah, and I can't talk at length about the hilariously nightmarish, bizarre fever dream that was Earthworm Jim.
If you don't know what that is, please go check it out.
Oh, yeah, please do.
It's the weirdest shit.
I can't talk about the Strike series, where you can fly around in a Apache helicopter and kill Saddam Hussein.
As you should.
Yeah. So, we came to a consensus about 4 of them, and then 3 are going to be our personal picks. So the bottom 3, in no particular order. So number 7
We'll
through
go
5.
with number 7, yeah. I picked Madden 92, and now to be honest, when I was a child, we had Madden 93, but not a lot changed between John Madden Football 92 and John Madden Football 93, so that way I can say John Madden Football 92. The rosters changed, which would be the difference between having like a Deshaun Kaiser to a Baker Mayfield, which, that's a huge difference, but it's still a video game.
Plus, you would also have to know your player's number, because they didn't have the license to actually give them their actual names in the game.
Yeah, which is a far cry from the way it is now.
And I will say also, I remember playing it as a kid, and you'd always be pissed off if you got the Browns, because they were the worst fucking team in the game by far.
They haven't been good until, now-ish. But, it was a game I played a lot as a child, and one of my first video game memories was watching Noah play a game against my dad, where it ended up at 115 to 116.
I think the final score was 112 to 111.
Because Noah happened to block an extra point.
In double overtime.
Yeah, which is rare enough to happen in actual football, but to see it happen in a 1992 93 video game is fucking absurd. It's never happened ever again.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever saw it happen in that game, no matter how long I've played it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even intend to do it. I think it was just the game glitched out and was you guys have been playing for way too long.
The system is overheated.
So can we talk about if you got somebody injured?
Well, yeah, and that's another one of my favorite things about it is just the hijinks that would ensue if somebody got injured, and the ambulance would come out and just run over everybody in its path, and sometimes it wouldn't even pick up the injured player and then just drive off the screen and hit more people, and it wouldn't come back for the people that it ran over.
No.
And as a kid, I don't know, I was 7 or 8. Seeing that, you just laugh your ass off because it's hilarious.
You still do.
Yeah,
I will
it's
say
still fun.
there was many times where I'd put it on 2-player, and I would just there would be no other person there, and I'd just set the controller down and just hit C until it was ready, and then just tee up on people and be come on, injury, come on, injury.
So Madden has progressed a lot since then, and I've played
to bring that back.
Yeah, I've played a few of the renditions, and they're good if you're a football fan, but they need to bring back the ambulance.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so that's my pick.
My pick, and I guess this would be number 6. I'm gonna follow along with Mischa and go with another sports game. I'm gonna pick World Series Baseball 95. Now, the World Series Baseball games were these were top of the line sports games, because a lot I mean, even now, sports video games are like really, really hit and miss. But these were the ones that like finally figured out how to just get it right.
Yeah, they got the secret sauce.
Yeah. They were actually this series was actually the first one to be licensed to give you not just the actual team names, but the actual player names too. So if you wanted to play as 1995 Indians, you had Kenny Lofton and Albert Bell and Manny Ramirez and Carlos Baerga and
Sandy Alomar
and
Omar Vizquel.
Yes,
Just
that whole stacked ass lineup that blew the World Series. But it was just
thanks, Jose Mesa.
But
why did you bring that up?
Well, because I'm thinking about baseball in '95 now, and I've got some bad memories. But
you can't play as Ken Griffey Jr.
You can play as Ken Griffey Jr. And one of the best things about this game was, for me, not only could you do a regular season mode where you could play a full baseball season on this cartridge, which means that I think, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct, that I've logged more hours on this game than any other video game ever.
And that's saying something nowadays with games that you could log like hundreds of hours in.
Yeah.
But that just means he literally sat down and played through at least 162 games.
No, that means, yeah, he played one full season. It was longer than like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, exactly.
In its entirety.
That's the kind of person I am, where I will sit down and simulate an entire baseball season on a video game. Not anymore, I don't have that time, but when I was 10. But also because you could play single games, but also my favorite part of this game was Home Run Derby mode, where you could just pick your favorite slugger. At the time, mine was Frank Thomas.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, Ken
Griffey Jr.
I would pick Frank Thomas and just
Big
sock
Hurt?
the Big Hurt,
and
and just sock bingers for hours.
where'd he get that nickname?
There's a lot of ways we can discuss that, but that's for a different episode on our other channel on the Adult Network.
After hours.
So again, for me, there's not many sports games that I recommend highly. This is mine, and I'm going to slide it over to Brandon.
Okay, so I'm not going to go with the sports game, although, because I love hockey, but they were all ported. But, the early NHL games, fucking great. But anyway, I digress.
They don't compare to Blades of Steel.
Oh, Blades of Steel. Anyway, I was a Sega fan since the early days. I'm a little older than them, so I didn't get an NES. No, I got a Sega Master System, and I bet probably almost none of you know that even fucking existed.
Yeah, saying he's a Sega fan is like underplaying it.
Yeah, I owned every Sega system and everything of all time. And I got a Sega that pretty much right when it came out, a Sega Genesis, because my parents were going through a divorce, and I think they just wanted something to shut me up and keep me busy while they fought.
Yeah. Hey, don't pay attention. Play this video game. All right?
And it worked. And I mean, the original had the little slider on the side with the volume, and they just bought me some headphones and plugged me in and were like, here, fucking play video games. And I did. So...
And he turned out a great person.
Oh, yeah. So the one thing I was always jealous about between... from the Master System to the Genesis was I didn't have Zelda. Because I fucking loved... Whenever I'd go over to my buddy Tim's house, I'd try to, make him go do something so I could sit there and play fucking Zelda in his house, and he'd get pissed.
Yeah.
Until I found this game. It's called Landstalker, The Treasure of King Knoll. It's a bit of a mouthful. But it came out in '93. This game is amazing. The sprites are great. It's an action RPG with puzzle elements... and platforming, which can be a bitch, and you will die quick, fast, and in a hurry. Fuck you, mushroom things. Yeah. And I will say this game was ranked number 5 as the 5th best Genesis game of all time by Sega itself. So, I mean, while these guys, I believe, have never played it.
Yeah, no, we have never played it.
I showed it to them today.
Yeah. So this was before the time when I wasn't old enough to go rent video games. It was before that time, so whatever games I had were the games that my parents bought me. So, I was like a core 4 or 5 games that I just played over and over again.
I, on the other hand, had Knight's Video Store, which had a great fucking movie selection and a great Sega Genesis. Genesis? Yeah, Genesis. Yeah, collection, because their kid was in my grade in school. So
yeah, so Brandon could rent all the smut he wanted for free.
yeah, pretty much.
And
Yeah.
video games.
But his parents would buy every game that came out, put it in there because that way Nick could fucking play them first, and then they'd be there for rental. So it worked out great.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's something that I feel like is missing nowadays. Is there aren't many places you can go to rent video games.
Well, because
there
they
was
have
multiple.
like 3 hours of loading time.
Well, right, yeah, but that's the thing. It was like when we were kids, there was multiple places you could go to rent video games, and there was something so cool about having to go rent a video game because you'd spend a long amount of time like looking at the back and looking at the cover art and just trying to gauge whether or not this game was going to pique your interest.
Because occasionally you'd pick up something with like really just badass box art. And you're like, oh shit, look at those monsters and that laser kid and this guy. And then you get home and it's just this unplayable shit fest.
Yeah.
There was a lot of those.
And speaking of box art, moving into number 4 on the list is Golden Axe. And if you have not seen the cover art for the original Golden
It'll
Axe,
be right here.
or
Here. It'll be somewhere.
yeah, we'll put it
We'll
somewhere.
put it directly here.
Yeah, but it's literally
It's more attractive to my face. That's okay.
But it's literally like that. What, like late
Frank-
'80s?
Like Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo.
yeah,
Yeah.
like late '80s.
But not even
fantasy
but not
style.
even good. Like
Yeah.
like the discount Boris Vallejo.
Yeah, like the dude, his proportions are all wrong.
It's
but he's
Conan.
completely jacked, and he's wearing a Speedo, and then the lady's over here, and she's wearing like strips of like fabric, like not even like full fabric. It's just like they put some stuff over to make it PC, and then
In the
there's the
corner.
dwarf. There's the dwarf who's fully clothed and like just like sneering at everybody, and it's great. It just speaks to the time period, like the fantasy era time period that came out.
Yeah. And see, I think though, like, I think if I would have seen the box art, I would have just passed it over.
You would
You
have. You would
lying
have snuck
sack
it
of
home.
shit.
You'd be like, "I'm taking this home, and I'm not telling my parents."
Oh yeah,
No,
he'd be in
no.
the he'd be in his bedroom with the TV on the character select screen where the fucking skeletons like
Yeah.
this, just selecting it over to the lady and being like, locking the door.
I feel good.
I'm studying, Mom.
I feel happy in my under region.
It feels weird when I rub it.
No, see, I meant because I remember the arcade cab at the skating rink.
You were masturbating at the skating rink? You fucking dirty dog, you.
Who wasn't? Okay, I was obviously not the only one. I will go on.
Dirty dog.
I mean, that's why the joysticks were sticky, and the buttons when you would push them, they would stay in. Yeah.
See,
No,
it
All
wasn't.
the kids are going back to play Golden Axe. I got my Golden Axe.
It totally wasn't just me cranking one out on the Golden Axe cab. Okay.
That's why they had it in the corner, like where no lights were.
Oh,
Let
no.
the kids do what they
The
need
dirty
to.
Can we
brown and
actually
yellow
talk about
shag
the
carpet.
game?
Maybe, I don't know.
It's a side scroller fantasy beat 'em up.
Yeah. With great magic animation.
Oh yeah, like the whole screen would like, if you got enough potions,
Like
you
a
could hit
dragon would
yeah.
come down.
And like the whole screen would freeze, and you would do whatever spell it was that your character had at the time.
And then in between, little like gnomes would come out.
Oh yeah,
and
there'd be
steal your
the
shit.
scenes where you're like at the campfire. Like if you were doing, in today's parlance for D&D, it'd be like taking a long rest.
Yeah.
These little gnomes would come up and try to kite your shit, and so you would wake up and just smack the shit out of them to get your supplies.
Yeah,
back.
they'd spew out magic and like weird hunks of meat.
Yeah.
It was just like white bar with like some brown
Yeah.
on it. I don't know exactly what kind of meat that would be.
I think it was supposed to be mutton.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
That's a
makes
thing
sense,
in
yeah.
the medieval times.
Yeah, but this game was fucking hard.
Yeah.
Even on like the easiest setting, it was fucking hard.
Yeah, you needed some skill to not just get to the final level, but to actually like beat it properly.
And like when you get the guys and they bend over, like I still hear that sound when you'd like hit them on the top of the head with like the butt of your sword. You're like tuk tuk, and then you'd kick them and they go flying.
Well, that speaks to the challenge of older games where you couldn't. There was no saves.
Oh, no.
Like if you died, you started over from the beginning. You didn't have-
Permadeath.
Yeah, you didn't have auto saves.
Well, you had like an X number of continues that varied by game.
Well, yeah.
But like when those hit 0, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
tough
don't-
shit.
It doesn't matter if you're on level 8 or level 2. You
I don't
go
care how
right
hard
back
you
to
try, you can't shove a quarter in this bitch.
Yeah.
zero. Well, you can. It might start a fire.
Yeah, well. But you know, I think, and that's part of the reason why I think like people of our generation, we have a different outlook on video games. Like when a game is really hard, now, like playing on Xbox One or PS4 or on Steam or whatever, I fucking enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah.
When my son plays it, it's a whole different experience. And I get into play some of these games. It's like, Jesus Christ, these are like not impossible. Like, but back in the day, I could do these with my eyes closed.
Right, and that's like setting games on hard now gives you that challenge, but it doesn't take away everything. Like, if you set this game on hard and played it, you were fucking done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about at the very end, if you did beat it, it was straight ripped off of Conan the Barbarian. It was you just, like, reclining in this throne with, like, 3 different women, like, scantily clad women, like, grasping onto your leg and looking at you lustfully.
Again, it was
it's Noah's, like, wet dream at the
that
roller rink.
That was the, baseline for, like, fantasy art at that point in time.
You act like I could hold it that long at the roller rink.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like halfway through level 1, and I'm just like, I guess I gotta go wash my hands.
Yeah.
You guys want the rest
New
of this
pants.
quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Moving right along.
Number 3
is
also
a 3.
Number 3 is Road Rash. Road Rash. And if you've never played a Road Rash game, you gotta get out.
You are missing out on life.
Yeah, you've got, even if you played Road Rash 64, that counts. But Road Rash 3 was one of my favorite games ever as a kid. It's just, there's so much enjoyment out of so, like, little, I guess. Like,
it's such a basic idea for a game. It's so good.
Yeah, I think it's the high point of the series, and it's a motorcycle racing game, but you get to beat people up along the way.
Yeah, and it's just great, because if you get the little, the crowbar and you hit it,
Oh, it's so satisfying.
Or like when you get the cattle prod and you zap Odie, who's always in first place. He's such a douchebag.
Fuck Odie.
And then he's just like kind of like stunned there, and an oncoming car just wipes him off the screen. Man, I can't tell you how many times I lost my guy because I was laughing so hard that I just saw somebody get wiped out by an oncoming car.
But it's so satisfying.
And my favorite was when you'd have like Odie or somebody else like right on the side, like Sophia or whatever, and you'd like keep nudging them over to the edge, and then because you knew cows were coming, and you just fucking kick them, and they just hit the cow, and you get that satisfying, and they're just off the screen. Oh, it's fucking great.
And I think it might have been this soundtrack that got me into heavy metal. Because the title screen in and of itself is like 8-bit
so
thrash.
Good. Yeah.
And then when you get to the UK level, it's just, the opening is just this really fucking heavy, I guess you would call it a riff, it's 8-bit, but the soundtrack was done by a guy named Don Vecca. And when I wrote his name down on the card, I wrote it Don Vecna. Because
we've been playing a lot of D&D.
D&D on the brain, so... But, I mean, the soundtrack is, like, worth the price of admission alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about a lot of the Sega games was the sequels tended to get better as they went on, with some exceptions obviously, but like Road Rash got better over time, and like by the third one you had like better graphics, you had better weapons, you had better bike upgrades, you had a better soundtrack, you had world courses, you had the cutscenes at the end.
The hilarious
like these hilarious animated interstitials.
Dunk.
Or there's like after the race, it'll have like this little animation, and like there's one where like you end up ramping your bike into a tree accidentally, and then your sprite falls out, and then the bike falls on top of the sprite, and it's.
And when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, the bike fell onto his penis. That's so funny.
Because it's always funnier if it happens in the groin.
Yeah,
region.
right. Now that I look at it, I think it falls onto like his stomach,
sternum or something.
But it's funnier if you think it falls onto his penis, because let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this game came out real late in the Sega Genesis lifespan.
It came out in '95.
So yeah, pretty late in there, and I mean, they really figured out how to like work every last angle, like squeeze every last bit of rocket sauce out of this machine to make that game, because it looked great, it sounded great, it had so many add-ons, like from the first game, which is great. I had it. It was awesome. But to the third, I mean, it's the same game, but it's so different.
Yeah.
So different.
I would say if you can, just go look up the soundtrack to this game. Even if you don't want to play the game, just listen to the soundtrack.
Or just go watch,
wonderful.
or there's plenty of playthroughs on YouTube. Just
go
watch like a 10-minute playthrough and just...
You'll want to play it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Alright, so number 2 is a number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
And I will forever remember this game because it was the morning of Christmas of like '93, because it wasn't like the year Sega was released. It was
Couldn't
probably
have been.
after.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up before everybody and walking into the living room and just seeing the Sega sitting there in front. It wasn't even wrapped. It was just sitting there in front of the tree, and I yelled, "We got a Sega!" And then I assumed I ruined Christmas for everybody because I like gave away the secret. But it turns out I didn't, because we had a fucking Sega.
Yeah, and we just played Sonic 2 all day.
Yeah.
So.
Call the TV.
Yeah, no,
Channel 3. Channel 3.
Yeah, and that was another thing. Channel 3. Like, if you don't know about that, you would have to set the TV to a certain channel.
And I did it last
Yeah, and he did it the other day. When we were filming Wednesday, we were trying to hook the camera up to the TV, and so we couldn't. We had something plugged in, and he's like, "I'll try Channel 3." And it just, if you've never had to experience the Channel 3, and sometimes it was even Channel 4.
Yeah, there's a switch. There's
Yeah,
a switch on the back
yeah.
where you.
If you've never had to experience that, I feel like you're missing out
Yeah.
entirely.
I did it just on impulse, and that
Yeah.
just shows that like I lived through those times.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, we could have picked any of the first 4 Sonic games,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, or Sonic and Knuckles, because all 4 of those games are pretty much like just stellar in and of themselves. But I picked 2 because, like he said, that's a Christmas morning memory for me. I wonder if by now our audience realizes we're related. I don't know if that's
I don't know
come
this
up
guy.
until right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know
I
this
think
guy.
I said it.
But yeah, so like Sonic 2 was the first ever game we played for the Genesis. So obviously that's just gonna stick.
Yeah, because before that we had like Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah, and all I wanted to do in Duck Hunt was shoot the dog who laughed at you after you fucked up, and it was just like, trigger's not working. Yeah. And yeah, it's one of those games that you'll forever remember, because again, up until that point we were playing the NES. And then we get a Sega, and we get this game, and again, the soundtrack is fucking great.
Yeah,
Oh,
you get
yeah.
a whole
Yeah.
extra 8 bits of
Yeah.
game.
The level design is wonderful, except for Casino Nights, because I hated that
Oh,
level.
I love that
No,
level.
yes, because all the other levels you had like a static kind of platform to fight on, and in this one you had to roll up and
Yeah.
roll around,
Yeah. And you got to go through like slot machines and stuff. It
Yeah,
was
but the
great.
boss fight was so tough, and I hated it
No.
so much.
Yeah, but you could hang out in the slot machines and get like 100 rings if you got all the...
Yeah, but you could also get like the hedgehog things, or the little echidna, whatever they were, the spiny creatures.
Lose like...
I mean,
whatever.
you were a hedgehog, so
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't make sense to have hedgehog. You got like whatever hedgehog disease is, and it would take your rings away.
Yes, I know.
Or I like that one. I hated the one with the water underwater. It was like Metro.
Or are you thinking of aquatic... Like, the 3rd level was the aquatic level. Where you
No, this was much later.
Because level 8 was Metropolis Zone,
It's
and that
that
was...
one.
Okay, but that was like all metal, and you had
Yeah.
to run through the spirally rings, and
Yeah,
it
that
had
thing
3...
sucked.
It had 3 levels, not
3
2.
levels.
3 levels, not
3.
2. But yeah, no, you're right.
That thing
Metropolis Zone
sucked.
pissed me off.
Also, this was the first Sonic game to introduce Tails as a character, and one of my favorite things about
Like
this
two
game
player.
is you're fighting against an evil guy named Robotnik who's trying to collect all the Chaos
You know,
Emeralds.
he didn't go to evil doctor school for you just to call him Robotnik. He was Dr. Robotnik.
Sorry, Doctor Robotnik. Anyways, he was trying to collect the Chaos Emeralds to take over the world or some such. So what he would do is he'd take little animals and trap them in his robots. So every time you killed one of the enemies in a level, a little, animal sprite would go off the screen. And then at the end of the level, you'd hit this like collection tank, and all these adorable little fucking animal sprites would just spew out. And it was
So
like,
cute.
yeah, it was like the most satisfying ending to a level, because you actually felt good about yourself. With all these, and I mean, they were fucking adorable. There was like bunnies and eagles and other cute squirrels, cute little fuzzy animals that would just,
Go everywhere.
pour out of this thing, and
Yeah.
it was just
Absolutely adorable.
fabulous.
Yeah. So that's
All
number
right.
2. Number 1, which was number 1 for all of us, actually.
Number one for all of us, and Brandon and I just played it and beat it in about a half hour. Granted, it was on easy mode, but
We were trying to get through it
It's a game you can beat in a half hour, and it's still one of my favorite, and I'm pretty sure.
This
much
is
fun.
like, if I were, like, this is a top 5 all-system video game for me.
Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage
Dose.
2. Like, I remember, like, this is such a favorite for me. Like, I still remember the very first time I played this game. Like, the exact moment and where I was at. Like, that doesn't happen for like, a lot of games, but it was, like, at my cousin's house in his basement, and he had a Sega, and we put this on.
Oh no, it wasn't it was in his room. Because the basement was taken up by Uncle Mitch with all his camel smoking apparel.
Oh, that's right.
And so it was in Corey's room. I was there too, but yeah, it was.
And I picked Skate because he looked cool, and then
Yeah.
you could jump on people's heads and beat the shit
Yeah,
out
and
of
you
them.
just wail away on their heads. But this game is one of the best side-scrolling beat-em-ups of all time.
Yeah.
Like, fight me on that.
And again,
because it is.
this is one of those ones where we could have taken 1, 2, or 3. They're all brilliant. They're all
Oh yeah.
they're all just a little different. Like
Yeah.
in the first one, you had your special thing, and you're like hit it into like,
Yeah, the cop car would show
and
up.
a guy would come out and fire a rocket, and it would, or the other one had like a Gatling gun,
Yeah.
and it would just blow everything up. And then in the second one and the third one, it was just like you doing a special
Yeah,
move.
it would be a character special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
individual. I think the second and third ones for me, I like because you had more character variety.
Absolutely.
They had their own they had their own attacks, their own specials. It wasn't just you press a button and some guy shoots a bazooka. It was
Right.
you hit your special button and you do your individual special.
No, I totally
Yeah.
agree. And I mean, I always played as Axel.
Yeah.
Bare knuckle.
Yeah, and I played as Max, the big wrestler guy, and Blaze, the female character in the second one, was kind of eh.
She was good in the first and in the third.
And then in the third one, she actually, I think they did her much more justice
Yeah.
because of the character type, and I think they were able to do more stuff with the control programming to make her character actually work in
Yeah.
the third one better than the second one.
for sure.
But yeah, it's essentially what happens is a syndicate boss named Mr. X steals your partner from the first one named Adam, and then you have to go rescue him.
Yeah.
And it's just all the...
Skates actually is the little brother.
Skates' his little brother. The characters are great. There's the one level where it's like this H.R. Geiger, just like
Oh yeah,
alien.
like the spook house.
Yeah, where you're like walking through like a stadium,
Yeah,
and then you
there's-
enter this nightmare zone.
And there's literally like xenomorphs that are
Yeah,
in
then
eggs.
Then you fight this like fucking head that just comes off of the wall, and it's actually pretty difficult.
Yeah, if you don't pick up the katana like 3 guys earlier,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard.
Yeah, and again, all the characters, they're like, they all have their own little special thing they do, but they're essentially just reskinned for later in the game.
Yeah, just
Where they
change their color.
Yeah, you just change the color of like their jeans, and then as you fight the bosses, they show up later in the game.
As just like a regular dude.
yeah, as just like a guy you have to fight. So like in the very last level, you're going up the lift, and one by one, all these bosses come down, and you have to fight through all these bosses before you get to the end boss.
Yeah.
I
Plus
gotta say-
another boss because you have to fight
Yeah.
Shiva.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think my favorite little in-game villain is just like the little putty Denim Dan guy who runs around with a knife.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's just after some crack and gives a crack.
and you never see him coming too. Like he always appears at the edge of the screen.
And then he beelines right at you.
But you're always so busy fighting somebody else that you like the first time you see him, you're like, oh no, I'm already being stabbed, and he's taking the crack.
He's taking my crack.
Yeah,
I don't know why I have crack on.
I don't know.
Like if ever I have to shank someone, that's how I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm just
or you
holding
just-
it like this and
You're
running
holding-
at you.
You're double fisting this knife, which clearly means you would be holding the blade and the handle, but somehow he's just holding the handle and like this one's just for support.
See, I think he's got it like lodged into his sternum so he can get like his whole body weight
Yeah.
into the stab.
and it's so
Oh,
hilarious.
it's great.
Yeah, and he's like the weakest of all the like putty
he's
guys.
literally the very first putty you fight in the game, and then they like reskin his character to it where his sprite's like just
Yeah.
hunched over with a knife.
Yeah, give him a knife. He'll
Yeah.
be better.
Yeah. So I mean that puts foresight into it, that they're like, okay, the first putty needs to make a comeback later.
Yeah.
but holding a knife and
Yeah.
after your crack.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those things where you break like newspaper stands and there's like a bag with a money sign on it.
Oh,
or, like,
yeah.
gold
Or
bars.
just like a full roast turkey.
Yeah,
just
or an
hanging
apple.
out.
It's just like road apples and road turkeys.
And,
Because that's
I
perfect.
spent so much time, and I've played through this game so many times, and it has literally never gotten old.
Yeah, like this is a 20-year-old game,
Yeah.
and I've beaten it more
Over that, I
times.
think, at this point.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
even
I've beaten it more times than I can like remember.
oh, and again, I don't even think we mentioned the soundtrack and how fucking dope the soundtrack
Oh, yeah,
is.
Every song is an earworm.
Yuzo Koshira, thank you for the soundtrack.
yeah, I haven't played the game in years, and I can still like hum it like level
Yeah.
by level.
And then always the stage clear song is
Yeah.
always the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the,
So
and the
good.
soundtracks are great. It was called Bare Knuckle in Japan. So, I mean, that's a pretty dope fucking name.
Yeah, why would you change it?
Yeah, I don't know. Because Streets of Rage is still pretty
that's
cool.
a,
That is still
that's a pretty
I mean,
metal
they,
name.
they,
That's
they were
true.
2 for 2 on that
Yeah,
one.
I mean, yeah.
And one thing that also will never get old is you fight robots at some point, and they have like these mace arms, or these like Morningstar arms that they like wing out at you, and they just make this like
this hollow plunk noise when they hit you.
Oh, it's great.
It's just.
I think it's my favorite like MIDI sound of a video game ever.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, you have those. You have Ultimate Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
he's not Ultimate Warrior, but he's fucking Ultimate
He's
Warrior.
totally the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, who runs in. You got a fat dude that blows fire at you.
You've got a karate bartender.
Yeah, there's a Great Value Wolverine.
Yeah.
Who shows up about 3 times.
3 times. Yeah.
Elton John, Rocket Man comes in.
Yeah.
Who's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because he's flying. But yeah, it's if it's not like my favorite game of all time, just from childhood memories, it's in my top 5 for sure.
I still play it with my wife.
Yeah.
Like, her and I stayed up till like 2 in the morning trying to play through all 3 one day, and then I suffered the next day at work. But it was totally fucking worth it.
Totally worth it.
Love you, honey.
And that's why I'm excited for the Genesis Mini coming out, because when I moved and I had to downsize the size of my domicile, I had to. I got rid of my Genesis and all the games, and I'm just like,
moron. You give up other things. This thing.
Yeah.
I know that's one of the things I regret most about giving away. It was like, why did I give that away? I had Streets of Rage 2 that I could have just played all the time.
You just gave away your childhood.
I know I did.
You gave it away.
I gave
Just like your innocence on
Yeah.
on Golden Axe.
on the Golden Axe can. That being said, go to the comments below and let us know what is your favorite Sega exclusive game that wasn't ported to the NES.
Yeah, because according to Wiki, there's like 899 different Sega games, so we obviously missed one. I didn't even get to talk at all about Phantasy Star 4.
That's all we're going to say about that, but fucking great game.
Yeah, so let us know your games in the comments. Bang the subscribe button, bang the bell next to the subscribe button, bang on over to Twitter and Instagram, bang somebody you love while you watch it.
Share it with her.
Bang
or
the
him.
shares. Yeah, we'll share the love with whoever you want.
Him
And that
or
way,
it.
you're alerted when the next keg is tapped. Cheers.
Cheers.
My turn.
Damn it.